Hello everyone. Welcome to another session of TBS Reads with the Bookworm Society. Today we are going to read How Old is Muttajji, which has been written by Rupa Pai and the illustrations are by Kaveri Gopalakrishnan. Putta and Putti jumped out of bed. It was Muttajji's birthday and they had a train to catch. Muttajji, who was the twins' mother's mother, lived in Mysore with Ajji, who was the twins' mother's mother. No one actually knew when Muttajji's birthday was. Ajji had always celebrated it on the Makar Sankranti holiday. Amma, will there be a cake? Asked Putti. A big spongy cake with pink icing and a rose on top. Nah, said Putta. Old people don't have birthday cakes, and 200 candles won't fit on any cake. Muttaji isn't 200 years old, silly, said Putti. How old is Muttaji, Amma? Amma smiled. Why don't you ask her when we get there? The moment they reached the old greenhouse in Mysore, the twins burst into Muttaji's room. Happy birthday, Muttaji! How old are you today? Muttaji hugged the twins. How old am I? Who knows? How does it matter? But it does, cried Putta and Putti together. Muttaji smiled. Well, she said, I know that around 5 years before I was born, our Maharaja went to a grand party for Indian Maharajas and Maharanis in Delhi. A British king and queen had come to visit and our Maharaja got a gold medal. Ooh, a party! There must have been lots of cake, said Putti. Who was this king, Muttaji? If you know, we can find out which year he visited. If he had 5 years to that, we will know when you were born. Muttaji shrugged. I've forgotten, Putta. Putta's face fell. Wait, said Muttaji. Let me see if I can remember something else. When I was about your age, 9 or 10, my uncle from Bombay visited us and told us about clean trains. Clean trains? Yes, Muttaji was excited. They had started running in Bombay that year. Never got dirty traveling in them. No black dust on your clothes and face, no grime, nothing. The twins stared at her. Why would anyone get dirty traveling by train? Some years later, continued Muttaji, I got married. The law was that a girl should be at least 15 before she was married, and my father would never break the law, so I must have been 16 then. Very soon after my marriage, your Muttaja got a job in Bombay and we left Mysore. Did anything important happen the year you got married, Muttaji? Asked Putta. Yes, said Muttaji sadly. Our Maharaja inaugurated our big dam and the beautiful gardens next to it during the Dasara festival that year. But I missed it. I was in Bombay. Big dam? Putta sat up. Is it still there? Muttaji hooted with laughter. Of course, rock solid too. It was the dam that tamed the Kaveri. No more floods in the monsoon and enough water for the fields in the summer. Ajji put her head around the door. Are you talking about KRS, Amma? KRS, Muttaji said, looking fondly at Ajji. Your Ajji was my fifth child, the youngest but always the smartest. Do you know twins? My children came like clockwork, one every 2 monsoons. The day your Ajji decided to come out, your Muttaja could not be found. Later, he told us he had gone to see Gandhiji give a speech at the Goalia Tank Maidan. He was so excited. Quit India, he kept shouting the whole day. Silly man disturbing the baby. Quit India? Putti's eyes grew round with excitement. We studied it in history, Putta. The movement started in 1942. That means 1942 was the year that Ajay was born, pouted Putta. Not Muttaji. That's a start, said Putti. Which year were you born Ajji? I'll be 74 this year, said Ajji. So I was born in. Putti quickly did the calculations. 1942, she said. Ajji nodded. Now Ajji is Muttaji's fifth child and all her kids were 2 years apart, said Putta. So if Ajji was born in 1942, Muttaji's fourth child was born in 1942 minus 2, which is 1940. The third in 1940 minus 2, which is 1938. The second in 1938 minus 2, which is 1936. And the first in 1936 minus 2, which is 1934. So Muttaji was married in 1932, cried Putti. Not necessarily, said Putta. Muttajji didn't say her first child was born 2 years after her marriage. She only said a dam was built in Mysore the year she got married. Maybe this will help, twins, said Aji, bringing in bowls of vermicelli pies, Muttajji's favorite sweet dish. KRS is the Krishna Rajasagar Dam. The Vrindavan Gardens are the gardens attached to it. We went there last year to see the musical fountains, remember? The twins nodded. Mmm, said Putti. Your pies is the best, Aji. When was KRS built? Do you know, Aji? Aji shook her head. I'm not sure, but you can go with Ajja to the central library after lunch and find out there. In the library, Putti found a book on the history of Mysore. Here it is, she whispered. Two of Mysore's most visited tourist spots, the KRS Dam and the adjacent Vrindavan Gardens, were opened to the public in 1932. The twins grinned. That meant Muttajji had indeed married in 1932, 84 years ago. Muttajji thinks she was 16 when she got married, said Putti. But she could have been 15 or 17 or 18. She also said she was about 9 or 10 when her Bombay uncle told her about the clean train, said Putta. Ajja may know what that means. Ajja was in the reading room. Ajja, whispered Putti. In the olden days, did people get dirty travelling by train? Ajja nodded. There were steam engines then, which ran on coal, not electricity, he said. Black coal dust used to fly out of the chimney and land on everyone and everything. Terrible. That's it, Putti, his Putta. Electric trains were the clean trains. He pulled out a book on the Indian railways. It says here, he pointed, that India's first electric train came to Bombay in 1925. And Muttajji says she was about 9 then, said Putta. If she's right, then Muttajji was born in 1916. But she could be wrong, frowned Putti. Only one way to make sure, said Putta. We have to find out if that big party for kings and queens in Delhi, which Muttajji said happened 5 years before she was born, happened in 1911. They ran back to Ajja. Ajja, was there a grand party for a foreign king who visited India around 1911? Ajja frowned. 1911. Why is the date so familiar? Ah, yes, it was the year the Gateway of India was built in Bombay. And yes, it was built to welcome the British Emperor of India, George V. There must have been several grand parties, not one. Ajja tapped his forehead, looking very pleased with himself. Not bad for an old brain, eh? Not bad at all, cried the twins. Thanks, Ajja! They knew exactly how old Muttajji was. 5 minutes later, the twins were racing homewards. Muttajji, they panted, rushing straight to her room. Did the Mysore Maharaja get his gold medal from King George V? Ah, Muttajji said happily. That's it. George, what clever children you are. That means, Muttajji, that you were born in 1916. You're exactly 100 years old today. That's great detective work, twins, smiled Amma. I think you and Muttajji deserve a special treat, a big spongy one with pink icing and a rose on top. Hooray! Cheered the twins. Thank you so much for reading along to How Old is Muttajji with the Bookworm Society. We would love to hear from you if you have used maths, history, or anything that you have learned in school or are learning in school in your daily life. Please let us know in the comments below. Until the next read aloud video, please take care.